All right, we're back. Um, I'm on hiatus, as I've told y'all. This is no secret. So by now, if you're listening to this video, I won't be back on full time till February, but I'm pre-making videos. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, how was your Thanksgiving? How's life been? How's your family been? How are you all? I hope you are in great spirits. I hope you are being careful out here. The weather is set to get inclement. So start preparing your households for that. I know y'all are probably getting ready for this thing called Christmas Christ Mass that some of you celebrate once a year. Yeah, so Thanksgiving's behind us. No major storms have happened yet, but we know that based on the Weather Channel, they are coming. Also, I want to give one shout out to someone I haven't heard from in a little bit, and obviously so, because he's probably either out on the road or with the family back home to celebrate the holidays temporarily. Well, obviously, it being Thanksgiving weekend, you're not going to hear from him. And that is the Solomon Project. This is the gentleman who is a trucker of Dominican heritage. He's lived most of his life, I think, here in the States. Told you the Solomon Project talks about financial stuff. Remember, he is not giving financial advice. You need to talk with a financial advisor or a financial planner for genuine advice. But he also talks about trucking and things like that. The Solomon Project is the person that gave me the nickname the Professor, because I never would have seen myself that way despite my breadth of knowledge in some aspects of history. So if you want to understand trucking better, because he breaks it down in his videos, if you want to understand what's going on with the financial markets, just an understanding, not a legal assessment, this is your person to speak to. Okay. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. What did I tell y'all about these PPP loans? Let's take a trip to Maine. I have said this several times. The Fed is not playing with y'all today. So the article's about to pop up. I read it, right? It was a short article, so we're in, I think it's Lewiston, Maine. I thought it was Idaho because there's a Lewiston, Idaho, of course. And when they mentioned the city of Bangor, I'm like, yeah, it's got to be Maine. Where this gentleman has been caught lying and saying he has payroll for employees that he never had. And his charade has been exposed. So on a whim, I just went to the comment section. There was between 7 to 9 comments. Come to find out, this same person may also be a low-key drug dealer who's was somewhere around 2019, possibly facing conviction. We don't know that allegation's true, so we're gonna stick here. It does tell to the fact that this person is probably just a hustler, and I'm not saying hustling's bad, but it has its bad points. So he admits to it, according to this, and is facing 20 years in prison by the Department of Justice. And again, when these departments come for you, the Fed time is Fed time. They're not playing with y'all out here. Negotiating eligibility for parole don't work in Fed time. What I'm tripping on when I read this article is that they said his fine for stealing 20K could be up to 250K. Bruh. That's a down payment on a house. 20 years in prison in and of itself is bad, but they want you to also pay the equivalent of a house down payment for a house for stealing 20K? Is it me? Am I the only one that from the time I heard about these PPP loans, okay, smelled a setup? Because again, it don't matter your race, it don't matter your gender. They are starting to crack down on people and said they're going to be prosecuting up to 2030. So you got thousands of people out here that have cases being built against them and don't realize that the Pied Piper's coming back. That you knocked on the devil's door and sooner or later he's coming to answer and collect. An up to $250,000 fine for stealing 20,000? See, the reason I brought up the drug dealing and now this that he has admitted to lying is because we need to, because based on this man's name, I can full-heartedly agree that he probably came from the hood. And how that hood mentality, when you translate it out in the real world past the hood where there's no snitch, how, and even then you can't say somebody ain't snitching on you. How hoodonomics can only get you so far. How we're raised in this hustle culture to just get ours and we don't ever talk about the consequences. Because when you serve time and is not fed time, it's easy to negotiate a sentence, particularly when someone wasn't unalived or someone wasn't raped or SA'd. Or no bodily harm was done. He just made up a payroll of people that in a company that didn't exist. Was this harmful indirectly to people who really needed these loans? Absolutely. But for us as a people, right? Because again, I told you this thing touches all races and all genders. Or both genders for that matter, but I'm not going to get into the gender argument right now, okay? When I see an increase of my own people doing this, and you find out you come from other backgrounds, because I talked about Ashley Grayson a few days before, money doesn't change most people. It just enhances who you already are, unless you understand the concept of building wealth. See, I'm covering these stories and I'm just going to tell y'all the truth. Our people suffer from refusing to practice and live for delayed gratification. I need this right now. And I know it could cost me something, but I'm living for today. Which theoretically none of us are promised tomorrow or the next day or any day. That's stating the obvious though. We have a culture to where we have been suppressed from making the type of money and having the mainstream relevancy for so long that people who come from the hood who do things like this, because based on his name, it's possibility he's from there. We don't know this yet. This is just speculative here. We have not been taught money management, and so because you see all these celebrities and you live in a capitalist nation, you fail to understand that there are consequences for actions. Meaning that although you acted on your refusal to understand delayed gratification, you're still gonna pay the Pied Piper for that. Because people see us and say stupid stuff like usual suspects, as if these PPP loans don't also involve other races of people, but okay. But because you come from a background where you had to delay gratifications because there was a time when there were stores that didn't let you in based on your race. Restaurants made you walk to the back to get your food, and when you were in public you had to move on the sidewalk for certain people. Of course, a lot of this I'm talking about the South. It's not really that way there anymore. You haven't had the financial literacy enough to understand delayed gratification and why that's a benefit to you, which is why a whole lot of our people perishing from a lack of knowledge end up in these schemes. Like the famous one of the young woman who was sitting on her porch when the cops showed up, and she immediately knew why they were there, despite what they want to tell you. sitting crying because it's 2024. She doesn't want to go to jail for something she did in 2020 or 2021. Because, see, they're quietly doing this. You're not going to know till they come knock at your door that that's what they're coming to take you away from. Or for that matter. This isn't legal advice, but I'm just going to give you some pointers and tips. If you make an effort with what little money you have and can give right now to pay some of that back on money order, I don't care what the amount, or put it on something that proves receipts, legitimate money. You're still probably going to prison, but at least you're showing that you're trying to pay it back. This is for y'all that ain't been caught yet, because they're 2030 is not that far away, but it's still a long time, because we're not even out of 2024 yet. We're almost, but not quite. That's still 5 years for them to come collect, and they're going to come collect. There ain't no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Please find you a pro bono lawyer, and or better yet, if you can, a paid one. Go get some legal advice about how to protect yourself, because them comeuppance are coming, okay? They're not playing with y'all on these PPP loans. Who in their right mind want to be facing a fine up to $250,000? He may not pay all of that, but that fine will substantially still be higher than the amount of money he stole. If you know anybody took these loans, stay on their behind about accountability and being prepped for when the Fed come get them, because it's coming.